Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. We can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everyone. Hold on, I gotta fix my microphone here. How are you doing? I'm feeling good about today. Just we got a lot of nice things going. I fixed the camera. We got a fan, so hopefully the camera doesn't die on us halfway through. I think it looks really good right now, so I'm happy about that. Maybe I'll try and record some TikToks with this setup. That might be interesting. I got like a new setup to keep track of my tasks that I gotta do. So hopefully this, look at that. I get this huge, see, I was using a regular size one. This is like double the space because I had so much stuff, needed more room. There's no room on my desk for it, but I got it. And then, yeah, we got rates rising again this morning at 3.9% in the 10-year. That's kind of the charts. See what's going on. So once again, we had some inflation data from Europe that didn't look so good, and the bonds are pressured. It's not as low as they were at points on last Friday, but it's not looking so hot. And we have to come all the way back out to here to see that they look poised to start taking a run at last year's lows. Also coming over here, we are seeing some steepening again this morning, so that's interesting. It's not too significant yet, but I mean, the steepening overall, we've been seeing that steepening, but like, you know, let's get over February 10th levels first before we get too excited about it. S&P 500 then, of course, in response, not doing so hot. It's the bottom end of this upper range here, and we may be heading into the 4,000 level again. Kind of seems to be where everybody would be watching. Oil struggling here a little bit after, you know, a bit of a tumble on the 16th. Natural gas still just kind of chilling. That's fine. Gold and silver, given how much yields rose, gold and silver don't look too bad. Copper is up. Okay, so I think we got some problems here. Bitcoin still holding these highs after a big run up to 2,500. A little bit of a sell-off, but nothing too dramatic. And the dollar moderating, but still relatively high, above, well, just below 104. So what I'm seeing going on here is the market seems to be freaking out again over inflation, and meanwhile China is like throwing as much stimulus into their system as they can. So I'm starting to become concerned that central banks may have a difficult time putting a lid on this if inflation does indeed take another rise higher because of inflationary money impulses from China. Because I go and I look at copper, and copper continues to hold it fairly well. I think that could be a problem. Also kind of suggests that there might not, that the commodities once again are the place to hide. I need to blow my nose, I guess. Okay, so we just had a slate of Canadian numbers. Canadian CPI month over month Well, let's look at core CPI. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so core CPI was spot 3 versus negative spot 3. And the headline CPI was spot 5 versus an expected spot 7. So it looks like that's why the treasuries took a little bit of a jump up there. Not usual for the treasuries to react that strongly to the Canadian news, but they are just reacting to anything that has anything to do with inflation. So quite excessively. And, you know, the other thing is that we are coming back from a long weekend. We do have some stuff later today. Like we get well, okay, we got 3-month bill auction, 6-month of 3-month. We got home sales here. I thought that we had, I thought that we had some, the FOMC notes today. Is that not the case? Oh no, that's tomorrow. That would be that's always on a Wednesday anyways. Today's a Tuesday. But my news squawk was talking about it. That must mean that they were talking about it for tomorrow. Yes, that's correct. They were talking about it for tomorrow. I don't see any speakers until Williams speaks tomorrow in a fireside chat titled Taming Inflation at a conference hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Oh, that's going to be a big deal, I think. Pretty late in the day, though. Well after the market closes. That's odd. There's a preliminary GDP core PCE price index on Friday. So, and consumer sentiment. So we do got some data to help move us through the week. It's not going to be a completely dead week. And again, like market's already kind of moving around here. Although it is to the upside and retracing that downside action. So. I'm really happy that my camera is working well. Like when I did it before, well, my camera's a little tilted. I don't know how I'm gonna fix that. But when I was doing this before, it was like frustrating, and like even when I did it the first time, I was like, is this really even like worth it? But now I'm looking at it, and for some reason I'm feeling like this is a new day. You know what I mean? That China thing, though, that bothers me. So help me out here, guys. Wondering if you maybe have any thoughts. Probably you don't. Probably you don't. But so like, here's the thing. I have this pad. I don't know. The thing I like about this clipboard, it's a real sturdy, and it's kind of transparent. That's kind of cool too. But I use like the big sticky notes, right? And I was finding myself like rewriting the notes because I would have like a bunch of things on one sticky note. And so I thought, what if I got a bigger notepad and I got smaller and sticky notes? That way I can just write one thing per sticky note, right? So I went and I picked this one up. And this one has colors. Ooh, colors. So now I'm sitting here thinking, what should I do with my colors? Should I color them by task? I can do like day job stuff, day trading YouTube job stuff, and personal stuff, perhaps. That's what I'm thinking. But maybe there's a different way to use the colors I haven't considered. But I kind of want to just like sit down and like start doing it right now. Nah. So I want a different pen. You know what? I like pens, but this pen right here, really, really good. Like you can't get this off. Like if you write with this, it's permanent. So this is like my check writing pen, and it's metal. I had this other one that was blue that was also pretty archival quality. That one disappeared. But then, like, I really like a good gel pen. Well, here's a Pilot. Pilot is a good writer. Could just do them in gel. I don't know. See, the things that Seth spends his time thinking about. It's kind of silly. Yes, see, it has me thinking about what I'm gonna do. Things for Seth to do. I'm gonna write some down here. I put this on my mouse pad. It's bigger than my mouse pad. No, it's not bigger. It's as big as my mouse pad. It's on there quite nicely. I guess I could just use this as my mouse pad. Hey, actually, it's not too bad. I got kind of like a fuchsia red sort of a color. Orange, teal, and yellow. Which should be which? I think we should make the stream the red. I'm gonna make the stream the red. So... But why you suck at day trading? I'm pretty sure I made another video last year that was like, I was gonna call it why you suck at day trading, and then like I didn't post, and then I didn't use that as the title. I decided against it. Oh, that looks so good against the blue. Wow. All right, yeah, we'll be able to put a lot of stuff on this board. Okay, I got my strategy PDF, and then the next, what were the next other two videos after that? Was problem with I think the other one I had been looking at was why Bitcoin sucks, but you guys didn't seem too interested in that one. That's good. Let's see here. What else did I have on? 'Cause, 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 Thumbnail picture shoot. And Steffa, how are you today? Congratulations being the first person to chat this week. I think people might be recovering from the weekend, man. Did you guys get the stuff done? You know what? I didn't get as much done as maybe I would have liked, but I did get a lot done. You know what? What really got me yesterday was... So I came in, I recorded the video, I recorded the Why You Suck at Day Trading video. I'm trying to get the strategy PDF out at the same time. So after that, and that took way too long. It took me till 9 o'clock to get that all, everything cleaned up after that. And then I started on the strategy PDF, and I worked on that from 9 until 12. So I worked on that for about 3 hours. And I thought, I only have a little bit of writing left, but like it's turning into multiple pages still. Actually, I'm kind of stuck because I don't have a whole lot about volatility. I mean, we know the stylized behaviors of volatility, but like I've never sat down and thought too much about, okay, like what are the main consequences? How are we actually using that? Maybe I'm not using it very effectively. Maybe I need to go deeper into that, let's say. I don't know. I think what I'll do is I got these yellow ones. Wait, how many yellow ones can I fit on my board here? 1, 2, 3. Maybe I'll just have 6 over here for notes on my songs, because I've been working on some songs too, and I'd like to finish them. And I should be writing notes on what I want to do to change them. Yeah, let's do that. We'll have big sticky notes and small sticky notes. Good morning, Octavius. Good morning, Uzi. Well, now we got everybody in here. Not everybody, but it sounds like you guys are more awake. Yeah, we got about a dozen people now. Let's just take a quick look on TweetDeck here again. Research: ETFs worsen fixed income liquidity in a crisis. From the FI desk. We're gonna have to read that if it will let us. Still seeing a bunch of stuff about there is I tell you what, Bitcoin has been doing really well lately, but when I go and I read the news on the Bitcoin community, people sure are scared right now. So I see a lot of stuff from Bitfinex, who of course is always bearish Bitcoin, but a lot of stuff about Binance right now. Like, he is just going super hard against Binance. And then the other thing that's going on is the US government coming and saying that you're going to have to be a qualified custodian, which is absolutely 100% the right way, right? Like, if I was as an investment advisor, Oh, that's what we need to do. We need to name the investment advisor. I need to write a note for that one. What are we gonna call it, guys? Oh, to come up with a name for a business like that, that's so hard, I think. Well, I think I would like to be more of an online advisor than just a local advisor. If it was just a local advisor, I would just use my name, right? No, I think we gotta go further than that. Russian President Vladimir Putin says that Moscow is suspending its participation in the last remaining nuclear arms control pact with the United States. Oh man, Jim Uriu. That guy, he knows how to play the Twitters. You know what my problem is? It's not that I don't know how to play the Twitters, it's that I don't care. It's like the thoughts just don't come to me because I'm just not spending time thinking about what can I say on Twitter that will get people talking. Maybe I need to become that. But Jim is so good at it sometimes. The happiest and most contented people I know tend to lead lives of charity and service to others. Maybe the whole self-care thing is being a bit oversold. I kind of feel like it does. You know what bothers me is that on TikTok, so many Gen Z millennial type people are saying that they are burnt out, right? Like they're working so hard. And I often feel that I am not working hard enough, that I take too much downtime, and you know, I'm ADHD, so I have a hard time sometimes staying on task, or you know, like sometimes you get in this position where you're like sitting there and you have free time, and it's like, as an ADHD person, it's hard to even get started unless you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing, you know? And so I'm always feeling like I should be doing more. And then I see all of these people that I seems to me like they don't work. I mean, obviously I don't know their lives, but some of these people aren't doing much. And I just can't help but feel that it's like it's not that you're working too hard, dear. I saw this great quote the other day. They said that if you give a man purpose and the ability to carry out that purpose, they will crawl through glass with a smile. I feel like that is so true. Like maybe the reason so many people feel burnt out is because they're either too stressed, not so much how much work they're doing, but they're just too stressed in general, or they don't actually have purpose in their life. I feel like that a lot of our generation doesn't have purpose in our life. Hold on. Okay, German economy minister is going to be speaking. That normally wouldn't be something that we would care too much about, but because the market is kind of like being driven by the Europeans freaking out about inflation this morning, I think we might want to just make note of that one. anyways, yeah, I feel like it's the purpose. So I've been watching yesterday. I had to watch the kids for like 4 hours by myself, which is a long time to watch an autistic child and an infant. But I watched Rick and Morty. They both fell asleep, so I watched more Rick and Morty, and I think I'm into the episodes of Rick and Morty that the fans like really, really like, you know? And I'm kind of like picking up more on the theme of things because it keeps turning into this I'm so smart that I realize the pointlessness of life and nothing really matters sort of nihilism sort of a thing. And I just don't identify with that feeling. I just don't identify with that feeling. Like, I think I'm pretty smart. That's maybe egotistical of me to say, but I think I'm pretty smart. People tell me I'm pretty smart. I tend to be able to pick up on new things pretty quickly. It's just after so long, you pick up on this thing that people think you're smart, right? I don't feel like there's anything super special about me, but maybe there is, you know, ADHD. Sometimes you can result in pretty smart people. But if I'm smart, I don't feel like that intelligence makes me feel like nothing has a point and, you know, all of that nihilism sort of stuff. That take a shot every time Seth tells you he's ADHD. Yeah, that kind of ends up coming in a lot, doesn't it? But I feel like that if I, you know, the intelligence that I do have always kind of turns into being able to find a way to find purpose in things. Like, you notice that I'm always coming in and like making a big deal about how this particular thing is relevant to the rest of society, and sometimes I can even end up doing that on like really silly, seemingly trivial things. Like, it's not something that most people are telling you out there that, yeah, day trading is hard, but it does serve a purpose in society and we do need people to do it. But I honestly believe it. I honestly believe that even the small, like everything that I've learned about the markets suggests that even the small, seemingly inconsequential decisions we make with our money really do matter in the long run. What we do with our money does matter, you know? And I find a great deal of responsibility and purpose in that, you know? So one of those things where there's like the distribution and you've got like on one end, like, you know, everything matters, life is great. And then in the middle, you got all these people that are like, I'm so smart and life is pointless. That's like the middle of the distribution that's all unhappy. And it's actually by simplifying, and the really smart people and the really dumb people are the ones that get it and take advantage of it. I feel like it's one of those things. I know it's super egotistical to talk about your intelligence in relation to this, but it was just going back to this whole thought about like, you know, what leads to happy people and so forth. And I think that maybe some people that are unhappy because they don't have purpose. I think, well, yeah, it has less to do with Rick being a genius and more to do with that he knows there's infinite universes. I think it's not just that, though. Because I think there's, to some extent, you're right. But there is definitely in the show this other thing of like, I'm so smart, I can basically do anything that I would ever want. And have already done like all sorts of crazy, wild things. You know? But you are right that that they really harp on the infinite universes leading to nihilism sort of thing as well. But like I guess kind of this weekend was when the kind of like the derision against the show kind of started to make sense to me, right? Because that's an underlying theme to all of Roiland's shows. Even Solar Opposites has the same thing minus the infinite universes, however. Oh, nihilism. Yeah, but I feel like the reason it gets derided is because the show is basically like, I'm miserable and nihilistic because I'm smart, right? And I feel like that's not it. I feel like that if you're truly smart, you find purpose in things really easily, actually. Why would the multiple or universes lead to nihilism? It would be the opposite, in my opinion. So much to learn and know. Well, because what will happen in the show is like something will happen that like completely changes like the whole world, and then they can just go like, oh, okay, doesn't matter. We'll just go to a different timeline where there isn't a where Rick and Morty are dead or something like that. Yeah. So it kind of, you know, it turns into this, do any of the decisions that you make actually matter? Because it doesn't matter what you do or how bad the universe gets or whatever. There's alternate realities, right? So if your decisions, if your consequences don't matter, you know, and they often go into these situations that are like, okay, what would you actually do if you knew that there weren't any consequences to it? If you can go and you can clone yourself and have another version of yourself that stays at home and takes care of all of the responsibilities, would you go off and then go and do the things that you've always been dreaming of doing but don't want to do because you have responsibilities? Yeah. It's people take it way too seriously. Well, isn't that kind of like the whole thing though? Is that the show always kinds of goes into like these deep philosophical questions, and then the answer is always, it doesn't matter. So like you're building in your mind this big thing about how this, you know, this episode might have meaning, and it never comes, right? Sounds like my 18-year-old self about. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I feel like that a smart, mature adult kind of starts to realize that finding your purpose in life and service to others is far more fulfilling. Some generations have Freud, others have Rick and Morty. There's not like, I've never really like, there's never like a moral to the story. Like that's the whole thing, right? So none of it matters. None of it matters. But like, I don't know. It's interesting to think about what kind of media I end up liking and not liking. Because I've always kind of been like, there's certain shows. So like, I don't like watching reality TV for the most part. And it really bothers me when my kids, my little girls want to watch reality TV. And I'm pretty, you know, like there are certain shows that I'm like, you want to watch Toddlers and Tiaras? No, we're not gonna watch that here, right? Like there is some use in watching a show where there's like interpersonal dynamics and all of those social situations and stuff, and like people can learn things from that stuff, right? But you know, in the end, what draws people to it is the drama, and I don't think that that's healthy for you, right? And I feel like that is just like the most most what is the name, the word, like bottom level of entertainment, right? And yeah, I do tend to prefer a more like nerdy show, like Star Trek: The Next Generation is a great show. We don't watch it because my wife's ex was really super into Star Trek apparently, so that she doesn't really like Star Trek now, so we don't watch Star Trek very much. But man, you know, I do like those shows. And so like Rick and Morty is like going into all sorts of super crazy sci-fi situations. But not only is it super crazy sci-fi situations, but it's situations that are quite ridiculous. So you really get interesting, thought-provoking things, I think, right? You really get interesting, thought-provoking things. But then at the same time, okay, I am starting to realize that like there is a kind of I don't want to say beauty, I guess, in being able to enjoy a piece of work that is just simple, you know? Right? So the thing that I've been doing now is I've been watching animes. So like, oh man, the one that I watched that I thought was so interesting was what was it called? Made in Abyss. It was called Made in Abyss. And I guess it kind of starts to get into some weird, interesting stuff. But at a base level, it's a pretty simple story. It's a pretty simple story, and there's kind of some weird, there's definitely weird, questionable stuff in it. Like, man, I tell you, because it's like they're supposed to be little kids, but then they still interject sexual stuff like most animes do, and I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, why? This did not add anything to the show. I think it seems to me that the Japanese think about these things differently. Like, you have a normal anime, let's just assume that they're actual like adults, of course, that you know, when you see stuff that is kind of what is the word they use, lewd, you know, slightly lewd stuff in an anime, the fan service, that's what it is, the fan service, you know, I think that they're thinking of it like when you go to Twilight the movie and the guy takes his shirt off and all of the girls are like screaming, woo, sort of, you know. I think that's the way the Japanese think about it, with like all of that. And so there has to be a little bit of fan service in every episode or something. I don't think that they think it's pervy like we do. You know what I mean? But anyways, that show had some of that in it. But very, very little. And overall, it was just a story about these kids going down into a pit, and it had very extreme, what was say, not extreme, but like it's really focused on the world building aspect of it, which is true for a lot of animes. But, and you know, like, there's not like super, like there's not like these specific situations that are like super you know, thought-provoking sort of. It's not like it's a completely different thing. It's not like the sci-fi. It's not like, oh, that's a weird, you know, situation, what can we learn from this, what can we learn about ourselves from this, or something like that. It's not like that. It's just like trying to create a good world story, I guess you could say. But I really enjoyed it still, right? And now you could enroll in it if I had the ability to, like, again, clone myself. So I had one version of me that just stayed here and did all this stuff, and another version of me that went out and tried to become a math quant. Then yeah, that's what I think I would do. Or just move to New York. I feel like I've got a really good I feel like I got a really good base set of skills, you know? Like, I'm probably never going to be the math PhD. Like, that, it's really hard for me to learn that stuff now, right? And but I have enough of it. that combined with my programming skills and my just absolutely deep interest in the markets and pretty deep knowledge of markets in general, that I think is well beyond even what a lot of people in these big institutions have. Certainly more than what most of the technology people in these big institutions have. It makes me very valuable. It's just kind of a difficult thing to like find the right place and be able to take full advantage of it, you know? But so I don't think that I would necessarily need to like go back to school for 8 years and get a math PhD per se. I just need to spend a little bit more time on things like, you know, reading this book and, oh my God, this book for the random probability. I can go through this on my own. I don't need to go to a college course to do that, you know? So... but it would be nice to go back to school and go to do a graduate program that was focused on quantitative finance. You could do more interesting things with your time than having this podcast. Well, there are some days where I definitely am like, you know, it would have been better to have worked on like writing scripts and studying than it would be to yap and watch the markets. But you know, like today, I don't know if I'm going to take a trade today. I didn't like that we came in, we were already down pretty massively, and then the first move was a swing to the upside. That always kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I'm looking for a large meta order to ride, you know, and so I should see that meta order be persistent through my whole session for the most part. And what I'm seeing this morning kind of suggests that those institutional traders aren't there yet, that they're speculating, and we may move lower, but I'm not seeing the big orders yet. Although we have moved about 10,000 contracts down, so maybe I'm wrong about that. But, you know, kind of makes me think, oh, maybe today would have been one of those days where it would be good to do that. But I don't know. It's like, that's the whole thing though, is like, there's actually a lot of time during the day. And there's a lot of time in your life, but there's not enough time to do everything. So you can accomplish really great things, but it's the question of like, which great things are you gonna focus on and accomplish, you know? How do you determine meta orders? Well, to me, the strongest indication of a strong meta order is auto-correlated cumulative delta. So if there is an imbalance in the market orders that is persistent over a long period of time, that's a really strong indication that there are large meta orders in the market. Excuses? Oh, I do have the time. But like, again, not time for everything. So like, what are the things that come first? Well, that's why I got this board here. And right now, the thing that comes first is editing my next video. I might be able to do it on Tuesday, and then maybe I'll have that video all ready to go before the weekend comes. That's one of the nice things about recording it 1 week and then not putting it out until the week later. I would have put it out today, but I find videos do better when they come out on a Monday, so. But that's the first one, and then I'm gonna try and release this strategy PDF with it. So for those of you that missed it, well, I didn't actually pull it up or anything, but but I wanted to put this out next week, so I'll give you the link here again if you guys want to go and take a look at it. Happy link. But I'm just gonna export it to a PDF, and it'll be like, you know, you put in your email address and it will send you the PDF, right? So I got all this order flow stuff in here. Okay, here's everything about order flow. Here are the key implications about it. Okay, now we're into volatility. So what do I have on volatility? Volatility is mostly path dependent, volatility clusters, and volatility increases during downturns. Seems to me like there are some other things that we know about volatility that was useful, but the only other thing I can think of and putting in here is like relationship between expected volatility and realized volatility. As I feel like that I'm a little lacking in that area though. It seems like there's probably more about volatility, and it's maybe even stuff that we know, but we just haven't really thought them through to see the implications of it. But I feel like that I could put a lot more in there about volatility. And then we got to do risk management. I'm realizing like, oh, risk management is like another 2 or 3 pages. So even though I'm like really close, it's actually I'm not. I still have a lot of work to write. So between those 2 things, that probably is my week. And then hopefully we'll be able to work on my table this weekend, because clearly with this huge board here I got on my desk, I need more desk space. So you have a suggestion for my next video? What's your suggestion for my next video? Pretty sure based on community feedback that the next video is going to be about the problems with volume profiles. So we're gonna do it. I need to do some back testing. I'm right now I'm like 1 video a month, so I'm gonna give myself plenty of time to work with that. But I was thinking about this. I want to put these other sticky notes on. Make a video about how the treasure. Okay, so here's the thing about that is that I've thought about doing that before. When we made the treasury videos, the videos specifically about trading the treasuries, I had that down as one of the things that I wanted to get into. I guess we still need to make a video about correlations. Now that I've put all of this stuff in the strategy PDF, we might be able to turn that into a video for the correlations part. But for like how the deliveries and stuff like that work, when I thought about doing it, there was kind of 2 things with it. Number 1 was that it's a super boring topic that probably wouldn't do very well on the channel, and I'm not necessarily the expert on delivery because I've never had to do that, right? But then the other thing was that I don't know what I would say about it that's not contained in the educational courses on the CME, you know? So that's why I've never gone into that. I have a lot of notes from the last time that we did a webinar. The last time that Mr. Gibbs did a webinar, I have tons of notes on that and all of the data and formulas and stuff related to that stuff. And oh boy, that's interesting. Where was it at? Block buy 3,000 at 14.5, and then they upticked at 15. Make a video on how. Wait, what do you mean by it? I'll make a video on how limit orders move the market. I mean, that's kind of like an underlying. What do you say? That's kind of like an underlying theme to like everything that we do. But I think the whole thing about limit orders is really interesting, and it's a very nuanced thing, you know? So one of the problems with the formats that we have on the internet is that people don't necessarily get nuance. You know what I mean? Like the issue with a video when you have a lot of nuance in something is that it's not that nobody understands it, but enough people misunderstand it, right? They always end up with all these problems, and then you spend most of your time clarifying and explaining it to them than you do actually like getting into the deeper, you know, knowledge that can be gained from that nuance. You know what I mean? This is why most creators on the internet just don't bother with it. But so on the thing with limit orders, what I would say is that the market orders tend to be what moves the market. Is the way that I would put it. The market orders tend to be what moves the market, and what happens is the limit orders pull in front of it. So when you go through and you like look at the stats and so forth, the thing that is going to be like the most indicative or will seem to have like the most influence, I guess you could say, is the limit orders pulling, right? But what I've realized is that the limit orders are pulling in response to the market volume that they're seeing, right? So now that there was that big block buy at 14.5 and they've come back down, and if we start pulling down at 14, you know, I think you could continue to see a decent amount of consistent selling in the treasuries to push us down to the lows, and you might see some of those limit orders pull out of the way. Well, I don't know. There is some decent liquidity down below us, though. Thing is I'm not seeing enough here this morning to feel super confident that we're really getting a good sell meta order that's going to continue through. Like that buy that we just had was pretty significant and really makes the cumulative delta on all of these charts look wishy-washy. And the 30-year in particular saw a really strong buy. So I don't know. That could be somebody coming in and trying to put on a flattener. Maybe somebody doesn't like the steepener. We'll see. I'm still on team steepen, but I'm kind of like not confident enough in my team to place a bet on it, you know? Limit order sack pull before the move, then market orders hit and price moves. No, that's not really always the case. So the reason that the limit orders pull usually is because they can see enough of an autocorrelation in the market orders to know that the probability of some informed trading coming in against them is strong enough that they don't want to take on that much that they don't want to take on that much inventory. And like the kind of like the bigger thing, like the thing that I've found matters with the limit orders that has been the most useful for me to watch is that it has a lot to do with how much inventory the market makers can actually take on in any one area. And if too much volume transacts in an area, you get this situation where the market makers don't want to put the liquidity up anymore because they can't afford to acquire more inventory at that price. Right. And so you get kind of all of the weird behaviors that you get like on that. Right. I mean, the 10-year looks awfully heavy though. So from a fundamental perspective, I think that it's definitely a sell. So higher interest rates today for sure. Higher interest rates. I think that the market is starting to come around to starting to price that inflation might be a problem for many, many years. I think that they're coming around to that inflation might be a problem for many, many years. I don't have any information suggesting that anybody would be particularly interested in executing something today. And the volume and the cumulative delta and everything is such that I don't have a good indication that meta order selling is coming in. So I don't think that I really have a good trade here, even though I can see that it's heavy and it may want to try and bust through these lows. And it will be interesting to note there then how much liquidity actually absorbs. Like, we're going to want to watch, you know, after the move is done, how much volume actually traded at each price, you know? I mostly see pulling on the bid and adding on the ask, and then price moves down. Well, yeah, so like I said, but why are they pulling, right? They're pulling in response to, oh, there's a big institution is selling it here, so I'm gonna have to lower my price, right? Put in live orders on ZT. You guys really want me to trade today for some reason, huh? The way that it's behaving right here is a kind of a situation that I have not had a good history of predicting, right? Like, it's come down here and it looks heavy, but it doesn't necessarily have real momentum behind it, and the cumulative delta is kind of a little bit fishy. I'm also not seeing like the sort of reloading behavior on the offers that I would maybe see for them trying to do a level break. Like, if anything, the bids are still absorbing here, so it's hard for me to say if they're actually gonna continue or not. I feel like they're going to, but I don't think that I have enough to justify a trade given my framework. I see a pattern, and if it works a while, it's so that's the big problem though, right? If you think that you see a pattern, I think that if you think you see a pattern, you should always be taking a step back, because the reality is that we humans are incapable of seeing enough data at a time to really be able to tell if there's a pattern into something or not. So, well, they took 13. There's 2,600 contracts. So here's another thing, is that if we do have a big meta order seller here and the bids aren't pulling, then he might see that, okay, the liquidity is there, so I don't have to be sneaky about it or do any of this stuff. The liquidity is there, I can just sell into it, right? And so that's where sometimes you can get these moves where it pushes really strongly through an area, even though there's a lot of absorption. It's because the guy just needs to sell, and he sees there the liquidity is here now. I might as well take advantage of it. So anyways, going back to, is there a pattern to it? Well, so again, you will see the tendency that if we're moving down, you're going to see the offers stack and the bids pull. Yeah. Especially like when it actually ticks down, right? I'm just saying that there's a lot leading up to that. You know what I mean? Let's say that it's worked for me for the past year. That's not enough. Yeah. That's not enough. Would also depend on how well it actually worked for you in a year, right? So why would that be a thing? So like, if all you ever did was just go in and go short, like your whole strategy was pick a random time, go short, in the past year, probably did really well with it, right? So I would say that that's probably not enough. That's why I keep getting back to this whole thing, which is like, the market is really good at fooling us. The market is just really good at fooling us, and it usually it's a lot harder to like prove that the market actually does something than we think it does, than we think it is. It's really difficult to prove that stuff. And there's all this stuff that's like, we seem like it's there. Like, I think the volume profile and like auction market theory is kind of like a good example. Is like they kind of have this framework of how the market behaves, but like how do you actually prove that that's a thing? You know what I mean? It's kind of because the behavior that they're describing is something that's not so easy to put into mathematical terms. And I just keep all my profits and not pay taxes? No, but if you're trading futures, you do get to do your profits 60-40. If you keep doubting on your ability to read, well, no. So, okay, so we got to go back to a couple of our foundational principles, right? So number one, the market is more informationally efficient than it is. It's more statistically efficient than it is informationally efficient. So the first thing is we're going to be going and we're looking for informational inefficiency, information that we could have that would suggest that institutions are going to have to sell this today, right? So then we're coming in and we're looking for a meta order, and we're looking for like confirming signals. Okay, so today you're getting confirmation in the movement of the price, but not in the orders. Okay, there are actually, according to my cumulative delta in the 10-year at least, more market buying. Okay, so this is probably part of a spread trade, right? Is my guess. But so I'm not actually getting order flow in confirming any kind of thesis that I might have had. Not that I had a strong feeling that we were going to sell, right? So I could come in and I could say, okay, like it seems to be trending down, I'm just going to jump on board, right? Well, the problem that you get with that is that by the time it's obvious that it's trending in a certain direction, it's usually already too late, right? Like once it becomes obvious to you that that's what's going on, it's obvious to the market makers, and the market makers start pulling stop putting the liquidity up in that location, and then you get the liquidity hole. And that's how you end up with trying to chase a move and then getting stuck in chop for 45 minutes, right? So the whole thing here is that a read on the DOM is not reliable enough for a consistent trade. Unless you really found something super cool that everybody else missed. Right? And so you're telling me, well, I know it is because it's worked for a certain amount of time. And what I'm saying is that's not enough. It's not enough to actually prove it, and for me to feel comfortable telling other people to go and follow that. Right? I would want like a peer-reviewed study with like 5 years of data and yada yada yada, right? So, well, we got a few ticks down though. Kind of felt like that we were going to move down, but like, look, I maybe would have made $7 off of it, right? It's not. It may continue down, and then I'll really be like, oh man, we could have gotten 3.9 and now it's at 4%. But for the moment, I'm okay with sitting here on it. And again, I guess the other issue I have here in this particular situation is it does look like a flattener to me. Like the 5-year is selling pretty hard and consistently. The 10 and the 30 saw relatively significant buys through this location, And while the 30-year is cumulative delta is turning back down, the 10-year cumulative delta is still at its highs. What you said is an argument against your 5-year data requirement as well. Markets have already adjusted. Well, it could be. So that's possible, right? I guess the argument that I'm making is that if you can show that a market behavior is incredibly consistent over a 5-year period, like well beyond, statistical margin of error, then the chances are that that behavior is caused by something structural, right? If people have some tendency to do something, then I honestly, I don't care. I've kind of stopped caring about the trying to game people out with psychology thing. I just don't find it to be very effective, right? If I'm looking for a technical trade, it's got to be based on the structure of the market, because that means that it's going to stay. No, I'm talking about trading on the DOM. Totally talking about trading on the DOM. So like the square root law behavior, the impact of meta orders follows a square root law. That is something that you will see basically on any data set you look at that's large enough. So you might not necessarily see it on one individual trade, but if you take like 10 or 100 individual trades, then you'll see that square root behavior every time. And why is it caused? It's caused by the structure of the market. It's not caused by people's psychology. I told you two structural trades and they said they're both too rich for you. Well, that's true. That's probably they are too, but those are good trades. I don't know if those ones were necessary. One of them was structural, wasn't it? Yeah, meanwhile, ZN has been selling out the whole session. Nah, I mean, I think you're exaggerating how far it's gone so far, man. Like, look, we went to the lows. We had a probe beyond the lows. We're one tick below that right now, right? Like the previous low from when this session started was 111.14 half. We're only now 2 ticks below that. So this has not been that dramatic of a move, right? We were at 3.9 and now we're at 3.903, right? Yeah, you're right. The one was a fixed ratio. And look, now they're touching what was the previous level. So how do you read the volume profile on the DOM? Well, so for one thing, I do want to look at how much volume traded at certain spots, okay? Like we came down to 12 half. They actually traded a lot at those locations, right? So compare how much it trades. Like every time that it ticks up or down, we saw some places where it was like 4,000 contracts, okay? Like that's a pretty big iceberg limit bid, whatever, that's sitting there, right? But I also want to see over the long run, how much did it trade? Well, it traded 17,000 and 12,000 contracts down there. So that's like nothing crazy or anything, but those limit orders weren't necessarily getting out of the way, right? So again, the behavior that I'm seeing right now, I don't know. I think that what may be going on here right now is that your guys' read of the DOM just contradicts what my read of the DOM is, and if that's what it is, then it just is what it is. But to me, this looks like a market where speculators have pushed it lower, and they were only mildly successful in doing so. That's what this looks like to me. I do not yet see the evidence of a strong, persistent meta order selling that's going to lead to a trend strong enough for me to make like 20, 30, 40 ticks. What I do see, though, that could be institutional is that there has definitely been some flattening. Now, I don't understand why we would flatten here. I'm still of the opinion that we should continue steepening, and we did see some steepening overnight, so it's a little, so I feel like this flattening has come out of nowhere. But so if I don't know why they're flattening, I don't necessarily want to get on that trade either, right? See, because otherwise what you're falling into is the fallacy that, oh, because price moved down, it's going to continue moving down. Well, if it comes from here and then we go down to, let's say, 111.07 half, now maybe it's a different story, and then maybe you can give me shit or whatever you want to call it. When is the 20-year yield going to be less than the 30-year yield? Did you see, like, okay, so what was it? Oh man, I won't be able to see it. I wish I could remember the numbers. I fall into the fallacy of you could have sold into the high sell volume at the top of your current trades column in Z, and then you'd be making you're talking about this up here. I don't know. Well, there's 11 and 12 up there. There's more traded down here than up there, that's for sure. And this selling was definitely more aggressive. And you can see here, so in this situation, so we did get back up to the scene of the crime. Bids didn't really hold through that. Yeah, well, was going back on, I forget how far off the 20-year is. Let me hold on a second. Because there was a 20-year auction yesterday, or not yesterday. There was a 20-year auction last Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And I was really, really thrown off. I guess I had just kind of forgotten about it, but I was really thrown off at how different the 20-year yield was from everything else. So I want to, before I opine on that, I want to talk about what is it actually here. Yeah, so the 20-year yield is 4.06. So it's a good 10, 16 basis points higher in yield. But I think the question was, why? Yeah. Oh, when is the 20-year yield going to be less than the 30-year yield? I don't know. It might be years. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember what the reason was. There was a reason. It was this really, really niche thing. It was like there was something about the 20-year. It like qualified under as some collateral for some sort of thing, or it had something to do with that made them want the 20 years more or less, or I don't remember what it was, but it was resulting in the 20-year being different from the rest of them. And part of the reason why that was in there was because it was like a newer issue. Like it's an issue that they don't do as often. But I don't remember all the details to say. But it sounded, but just based on my vague recollection of that, it would be something that would take many years to see come back in line, wouldn't it? Come to terms with the fact that you're afraid to lose. Well, you should be afraid to lose money. But no, I think that's an absolutely unfair assessment of the situation. Just because it moved, it doesn't mean that I need to be in a trade. Why do I want to be in a trade? Because I have a specific reason to think that a meta order is going to come in a certain direction, and I see confirming signals, and I see the volume going through very consistently in one direction. Okay, that's not what's happening right now. So why would I take a trade? If it's not doing what's in line with my plan, why would I take a trade, right? Otherwise, what you're doing is you're falling into the trap of just making trades because you saw it move. And I'm telling you, you know what that leads to is you're taking FOMO trades and losing. Yeah, even after. But again, like, it's still at 14.5. They did push a little bit lower and now it's coming back up. Heck. If I was willing to, I mean, we could maybe take this on the sim. Might make sense to buy it here. But on a technical trade, it might make sense to buy it here. Let's see here. So I didn't get the ding when the S&P 500 started, by the way. But it looks like maybe they're trying to turn it into a bull run in the S&P 500, and the dollar hasn't really done much yet. It's been chopping there. I need to zoom out a little bit on that. Even if the move had continued through, I still wouldn't feel bad about not taking it, because again, I didn't have a trade, right? Why do you think that it moved down there? Why do you think that it moved down? Why didn't CME? I don't know. I might be able, if I could remember why the 20-year was so off. Why would you be upset about not losing it? I'm not really upset. I'm kind of upset that people in chat are trying to convince me to go into a trade when I feel like that this is a really good example of a situation where it was better to just sit on your butt. And so I'm trying to teach this as an example of, okay, well, it moved, but why do we not care? Because look at the orders. Look at the orders. It's not doing it, right? Like, so the 5-year it sold, but look at the 10-year. The 10-year is net buying. Net 10-year is almost at the highs in cumulative delta. And the 30-year had this huge buy, and then it's kind of just been range bound. So is that information indicative of a large meta order moving the market in one direction? It's not. And so I come back to, why did it move? I kind of feel like that the reason it moved is because you all saw it at the lows and so you wanted to sell it. But I don't actually see a really strong reason to get involved in this market. Like, if the answer to why did it move was, well, because Europeans now have to sell a ton of bonds because their inflation data was higher than anticipated. And they're probably going to continue selling until the close of the European session or something like that, right? Okay. Then that would maybe be some information that we could base a trade off of, right? Whoa, okay, so there was some news there. Oh, that was the PMIs. So, services PMI higher than anticipated. I totally forgot that we even had news this morning. Did I not see that on the calendar? Well, that would have been an extra good reason to have not gotten involved in that move. Oh man, that looked really dramatic, but I would actually say that it's probably about on par with what the news itself was. So services PMI 50.5 versus 47.3, manufacturing 47.8 versus 47.4. So still higher than expected. Composite 50.2 versus 47.5. So services, and therefore the composite, is in expansion territory now. Unexpected. Why would they have to sell US bonds though? If anything, they would be selling EU bonds to buy US bonds? Ah. I think that's a really good counter to that theory. But I wasn't sold on that theory, right? If that's what I had thought had been happening, then I maybe would have taken the little bit of selling and tried to read something into it, but I wasn't. I was just trying to give that as an example. Now we got these PMIs. Now maybe we have something to work with, right? Move this up. You got to be careful though about location. So sometimes in those PMIs, there's kind of data that kind of suggests inflationary stuff. So that's one thing we got to keep in mind about that. Not seeing much commentary yet. Oh, wow. And lots of volume traded through that too, by the way. So felt a little flat-footed there because I did kind of have a good pullback that I could have tried to take advantage of, and I didn't. I was still thinking it through. Do you see that liquidity at 09.5? That's curious. Okay. So that excursion below 14.5 that we did have earlier probably was speculators, wasn't it? Watch T and not micro tenure? Well, I watch it, I just trade it per se, you know. I do find it interesting though, watching the micros, like to see where the retail traders decide to start participating compared to like what is happening in what we should be calling the 7-year is fascinating to me. Okay, so we did get that area did act as kind of a resistance in the way that we wanted. Can we get more downside though? Well, there was a level break set up right there at 07. It's not holding offer though. You have a chart? All right, you send me the chart. Have a bunch of message requests this morning. I just noticed. Okay, there you go. There's the site. I'm not getting a whole lot of continuation here, even though it is giving me that level break sort of setup right there at 07. Oh, I don't know what is that. So that must be two treasuries. 5-year and 7-year. Okay. Show you guys up over here in the corner. 5-year and 7-year. Okay. Was it interesting that there was that little divergence right in there? Okay, so the level break did run through, but it was very brief. Let's see here. So we may be in this situation where like the dollar becomes dominant again. Gold is getting hammered hard. Who's the biggest loser right now? Natural gas down 5%, followed by RTY down 1.5%. Okay. My news squawk is just telling me that 3.94 is the highest since November 10th. Well, so it looks like I've found an interesting situation here. So, there appears to be some degree of liquidity hole around 06 half 07. Yeah. There appears to be some degree of a liquidity hole there, and a lot has traded there so far. I mean, like 22,000 contracts. That's a lot more than the 16,000 that we were seeing earlier, right? But you know, I could see some reason to continue selling. So I'm kind of debating with myself whether or not this is a profit taking area or not. Yeah, so do you see how when they take 07 bid, there's like hardly any bid behind it? Well, it looks like the liquidity is still light enough overall that we probably could continue. But I don't know if we can really predict what it's going to do here. We might just see a lot of random movement. Yeah, see, so 06 was taken awfully quickly. I guess it could accelerate. We'll see. You did not sell higher, then why do you want to sell here? Because we had news. So again, the key question that I think that every trade has to start with is, why are people in the future going to sell or buy behind me, right? And it has, I think that it should be something, it should be a reason that you should be able to explain to your mom. I mean, your mom might not get it, but you should be able to explain it to your mom, right? And if it's based on, well, it went up here before and then it did this before, and you're trying to base it all on past action, I personally don't think it's a very good trade, right? But if your reason is that the PMIs were higher than expected and suggest that inflation is still going to be a problem, and therefore, ergo, the Federal Reserve may have to raise interest rates 50 basis points at the next meeting, that's a reason to sell. See the difference? I tried that once and she told me to get a real job. I'll tell you what, a counterintuitive thing I've learned about trading. Trading's kind of hard because you're in it on your own, you know? And when you talk to your significant others about it, they're probably not going to care. And you probably think in your head, you know, it would be really great if my significant other was also interested in this stuff and I had somebody to talk about that sort of stuff. Absolutely terrible idea. I'm telling you, absolutely terrible idea. If you're single, go find yourself a girl that doesn't give a shit about finance, okay? Trust me. Trust me. Yes, for longer term, but I thought you trade shorter term. Well, I mean, I do tend to take shorter term trades. I think that the shorter term trades has a lot more to do with the amount of risk that I want to take on, right? But I'm still looking for a situation where it's like, why is there going to be an imbalance in the order flow? I can't just look at the market data that I've been getting and say that the future orders are going to be this, because the whole thing is, I could have come in here in the treasuries and said, look, there's a really solid absorption down at the lows. The cumulative delta is actually going higher. I think that we're going to have a reversal and we're going to go higher. And I could probably make that case, right? And the reality is that the market data that you're seeing is usually not enough for a really high probability trade. Have you run into an issue when refreshing a candle chart, the shapes changed? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, and so I'm gonna go with no. But you're always trying to do weird things with your charts, so we could try and duplicate it for you. Only when peer reviewed. I should be careful because I know that you guys are all joking with me, but I'm always sitting here thinking about, well, okay, what about the new person that has never been here before? Are we giving them good information? I'm not saying that everything that you trade off of has to be peer reviewed information, okay? But when I'm talking about here is a behavior that's consistent in the markets, in order for me to tell you guys on the stream that that's the case, I really need to have really strong evidence pointing to that result, right? Me just kind of watching it and seeing like it seems like it does that most of the time is not enough. Lots of puts in ZN being bought at 107 and 108. Whoa. What? Like 1-0, like all the way down, like what? 5 points lower than where we're at, and they're buying puts there. That is like, that seems like crazy out of the money. Hey, and they're block trades, huh? The Journal of Finance takes about 60 days for peer review. Well, like, so here's the thing that gets interesting when you get into this stuff, right? Is that again, it's way harder to really truly prove something than everybody thinks it is. That's why often what you get from the studies is actually quite limited in scope. Okay, well, since we had this news, we're about 10,000 contracts short. And Uzi says that we're getting block trades. That's really curious to me. Yeah, like that was the point. Cumulative delta is still wimpy. So what does that mean? Does that mean that maybe we should be thinking about taking profits on the next well, okay, so you're getting a level break set up here again at 04.5. I would lean towards it going lower, but I would say that this is still not strong enough of a situation for me to like really feel confident in taking that trade. Okay. Interesting. There's also a lot of open interest on calls at 111. Yeah. So it weirds me out that it's so far away. That's got to be a real YOLO trade. You think up or down on the 2-year auction? Oh, wait, when is it? It's not today, is it? I thought we only had the 6 and the 9 month. Oh, no, we do have a 2-year note. I missed that. It's a 2-year today. I wish. You know what? I really just do not have enough information to say what the auctions are going to do. It used to be that if it was an auction day, you were much better off betting on it going up, right? But over the last year, those auctions have just turned into a shit show, you know? And I'm sure that there are analysts out there that have enough of a visibility into what's going on the desks and everything to say, you know, whether an auction will do well or won't do well. But I don't have insight into that stuff. And I don't have a ton of experience just even trading the auctions, honestly, because I'm usually not around at those times, right? I watch them when I watch the results of it, but I've very rarely taken trades into them. Well, that is, but is that that's not a structural behavior. So let's go back into that, because I was trying to make a point on that and I kind of got lost in the weeds with you on that one. Okay. So when I say it's a structural issue, what I mean is like the order book tends to lead to a certain kind of behavior, right? So that's a structural behavior. What you were talking about could be considered structural for sure, but I think that it should be placed into a slightly different category. I think that it's more like because you're talking about a much more temporary market oddity. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a different category. Because when I'm talking about structural, I'm saying it's going to continue to be that way until like they change the way that exchanges work, right? Yeah. I guess we could say that it's a combination of a structural, shall we call it a structural inefficiency, combined with a particular market situation. Sure. But to your point of CSET, that's a market change. You wouldn't have believed that if you waited 5 years for data collection. Right. So I might not be able to say like what is the behavior around this thing per se, but like I do have a piece of information that I can verify, right? I can verify the particular oddities about the coupons and so forth that he's talking about, right? I can verify that those exist, and I can go and verify when similar types of situations like that existed in the past, how it behaved to it, I guess you could say, right? So I think that there's still a way to come in and say to maximize the amount of proven information that you're trading based off of, right? Compared to I think I see a pattern in price. And I guess that's another thing that I would say is that there's lots of different places that you can find information, and you might find tendencies in certain data series and so forth. But especially when you think that you see a pattern in price itself, you always got to be suspicious about that, because market makers intentionally inject that randomness into the markets. And as a result, price is just not very reliable. 330 News and Media. I've been watching you for a couple of years now on your full time, and it's hard to find legit content. Thanks for your. Oh, thank you so much. Wow. And you so when you say you're professional, does that just mean that that's like your primary source of income, or are you trading for an institution? I think we should call ourselves, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like that we should have a different word for, I guess the way that I present it is institutional trader. I just mean I have, ooh, wait, which licenses do you have? So I kind of went on a binge this weekend trying to figure out what education I should go for next. I really want to get into this machine learning book, so that's the thing I'm doing right now. But then after that, I think it's probably time we want to return to like certifications. I think that the next one is Series 3. But I keep coming back to this point, this spot where it's like, well, I'm getting these, but I don't know if they're actually any benefit to me. You know? Like most of the institutional jobs that would make use of a Series 65 also require a Series 7. Oh, thanks, Uzi, showing us the, wow, 10,000 of them too? That's nuts. I have a hard time making sense of an, I guess the futures options aren't leveraged in the same way, so we should keep that in mind first. But still, I just have a hard time, like 10,000 contracts on it getting below 107. And when which, OZNJ3. So those are July ones, right? I need to remember my month codes. I forget. Oh no, J is April. 107 before April? Are you kidding me? Okay, so it was put, it's buy a put at 108 and sell a put at 107. Yeah. Okay, so let's come over to a chart here real quick. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we continue this kind of trend line down, which I think we probably will, but so starting from here to here. Okay, and then we need a vertical line at May, or sorry, it's going to be April 21st, right? I don't know what the expirations are for the treasuries, but we're going to say that it's the same as everything else. Okay. Properties. Isn't there a way to say that it extends? I guess not. I picked the wrong one. Let me pick the right one. Extended line, I guess. Okay. And they're saying 108, right? Wow, we're getting some more dramatic action over here. No, I already took some profits. 108. Right there. Okay, well, if they continue on the current trajectory, that is realistic if they followed the trend line. The proper way to do this would be to look at what volatility is and all that stuff, right? Okay, let's see here. It actually says it's a debt spread at 107, 108, 107. All it needs is an increase in IV to be profitable. It doesn't have to touch the strikes. Increasing IV will put gamma to delta strikes closer to ATM, will have a higher delta and higher gamma, and gaining money in process. Gotcha. I mean, that makes a lot more sense to me, but still, why? So if that's the case, why go that far out though? Why pick that specific price? There's got to be something to do with their predictions for volatility and so forth that suggests that that's a good price to do it at, right? But it suffices me to say that it's not an unrealistic target given the trend. Or OTMs are more susceptible to the move in IV. Gotcha. And it does seem, doesn't it? I mean, this is kind of really weird how we spent so much time last week talking about volatility contracting, and all of the sudden today it's like it's switching back, right? Okay, so on that last trade, I'm trying to remember where we got out at 3944. Okay. So far it was a pretty good catch. It really feels good to know 330 that there are people that are lurking here every day and don't chat, but they do find the stream useful and entertaining enough to tune in every day. Noise was kind of let's see here. So if I come back on no, actually they didn't. I was gonna say, I wonder if some people bought the indexes there this morning, but doesn't look like it. The cumulative delta is actually not too much in the ES, but it's pretty messy and tilted to the downside. So oh, that's cool. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy your content. You provide value, especially with your news coverage. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I try so hard, so. What certificates do you need to trade other people's capital? Okay, so so my understanding of this is not complete. Okay. Oh, hey, Jacob, I remember you. Yeah, it has been a long time. What are you up to? Hope you're doing well. I remember when you came in. Was it a year ago? No, it was like shortly after. It was 2020, wasn't it? But you were good. You worked really hard when I first saw you, so it's good to see you again. No, so what do you need to trade other people's money? So in order to like accept orders and execute them for other people, you need a Series 7. As I understand it, Series 7 is like the broker-dealer license, and broker-dealer is basically executing other people's trades, right? But to manage other people's money, you don't necessarily need the Series 7. So what you can do is you can get a Series 65, be an investment advisor, and then people can give you their money, and then you have an account set up with a broker, and you call the broker up and have the broker execute trades. So there's still a broker dealer involved, but you're the one kind of calling the shots. So I'm going to say that like the minimum, and of course it kind of depends on the specifics of what you're doing, but like the minimum is a Series 65. There's a huge difference between trading someone else's money and a firm providing capital for you to trade with. Yes. Well, so what's the certification for that? It's like a Series 55, I think it is. And that's the one that if you get hired by a real prop firm, you have to pass. Still hanging it. Well, that's good. If you've lasted that long, that's good. Right? You've already lasted more than like 75% of other traders. So I'm taking credit for that. That's what. There's the 75765 and the SIE, which is now the intro exam. Yeah, I don't under what was the SIE a prerequisite to things, wasn't it? Let me see here. So I'm going to go to what is the freaking website called now? Oh my gosh, hold on, my wife is calling me. It was not my wife, it was my baby that called me. Oh, that's right. Securities training for stcusa.com. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I tell you what, there are so many certifications in the financial industry. It's really pretty crazy, right? So managers and principals. Yeah, it's really crazy how crazy it can get. Like to me, to say do a Series 7 is like a heavy lift. Like, not that I'm saying that it's like the amount of content that you have to memorize. It would take me a long time, right? Took me longer to do the Series 65 than it probably should have. I do a Series 7, it would be faster. But even if I was doing it like full time, I think it would probably take me like 6 months. I thought that it'd say here that you needed SIE first. Yeah, they are not easy exams. I mean, I didn't have any problem passing the. You know what I found? This is what really threw me off about the test, and I wish that they had told me, because I had wondered. I'd wondered openly on the stream about this fact, and yeah. So what I found was that the study materials are not really very much like the exam. Which is to say, I thought that maybe the study materials were like, they made up questions and these were questions that were on past exams. And if I do all of those questions, then I should be in a good spot to be able to pass. That's not it at all. It looks to me like what happens is they have a test and they put a thing on all of the things that are covered in that test. And then the exam prep people just make all of this stuff up on their own. And so the kinds of questions, you might have like the general style of question, but the exam prep is not really very similar to the questions that you get. So I had to do a lot of thinking on the test. I mean, I passed it, so I guess I did okay. But there was a lot of questions on there about things that I hadn't really considered before, you know? So they're not easy tests. That is not to say that they're inflated. So then there's the other thing, which is the CFA. Okay. So that's what I was looking at, is I was like, okay, so if I want to manage money, what are the educations that I could get that would be the most useful? And it kind of seems like the certification for money managers is the CFA, right? And I'm not so sure I know a whole lot about everything that's covered in there. I maybe I should go and find like study materials online and like preview it or something. But anyways, so what I've learned about the CFA though is that they inflate the test. There is essentially everybody accuses the CFA of making the test harder than it should be and requiring that you get a higher score than they probably should, and that they're only doing that to limit the number of people that can get the CTA. And so they're saying like, oh, well, they have the name, and so everybody has to do it for the name, but you're not actually getting anything or learning anything from it. And they just run you through the ringer for no real actual point. And that's why a lot of people say that like the CTA isn't worth it. Is there a time limit on? That's a good question. I looked and never found any information about, okay, once you pass the test, you need to do X thing before you can, or any of that. But if I register an investment advisor business, you know, you have to like renew that every year and stuff. When are you registering your? Well, that's probably going to be a 2024 thing by the time we have the Series 3. But this year, we need to register our investment advisory business. So the question is, what are we going to call the investment advisory business? I have no ideas on names. I don't think that Speculator Seth Asset Management would be a good name, because when your people are giving you their money to invest, speculator is probably not the keyword they're searching for. Right? Speculator Seth Investment Advisory. There you go. Yeah, that's probably yeah, investment advisory is probably the correct term. Totally, yes. But you get what I'm saying? So what do we call it? That was not intended to be funny, guys. Jeez. I was just pointing out the plain bald truth, right? I have license and money is safe here, I promise, are good names. So I tell you what, that one of the things that I think is kind of funny about the Series 65, that you really got to realize, and like if you ever get involved with an investment advisor, you should totally keep this in mind, is that having the Series 65 exam and then being registered with your state or with the SEC is like the bare minimum. Okay, that's allows you to even do the thing. That doesn't mean that they're good at it or that it's an endorsement by the government or anything like that. And if they come in and they say you should use us because we are certified by the government or something like that, you can get in big trouble for saying that. So I'm sure Bankman Fried would have some good names. Integrity. Did you guys see the South Park episode where they made fun of the Dutch and Duchess of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex or whatever? Man, I thought, no, number one, it was really funny. But number two, that was like one of the most brutal takedowns of a celebrity they had ever done. Like usually when they do a celebrity, they're kind of just poking fun at it a little bit, and maybe there's like a tangential issue that is kind of like, oh, okay, like maybe you're in. Okay, so like with Kanye West, it was kind of like, well, okay, this is what Kanye West is like, and it's kind of funny, right? The gay fish episode, that's one of the best South Park episodes. Okay, but this one was really just like, man, the king and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are really effing annoying. Is what that was. You want to sound like a real professional, you got to use a Greek letter plus some solid object. So what would be a good solid object to talk about? Safe? Omega safe? There you go. Omega safe investment advisory. That's just rebrand Atlas. Oh man. Zeta ball. I like Omega because it's, you know, this movie is volatility. Or no, that's not what the symbol is. Volatility. Where am I getting that from? I'm talking out my butt. Never mind. I get my, you know what, like here's the problem is I get all of these Greek symbols and stuff mixed up. Like it's so hard. Maybe that's something I should memorize. Okay, hold on. Where's my sticky notes? Make this one orange. Love this song, by the way. Okay. Maybe I can make a card deck about that. It really sucks to like write on note cards and everything, and it takes a long time, but I find it a lot more useful than like downloading a card deck. Pellets, FLS, Series 65, CTA, and so on and so forth, ex-government sacks, etc., etc. Okay, so like here's the thing. It really drives me nuts. Is the way that people on our industry, you know, do the credential calling sort of stuff. Is that what is that the way that I should call it? I don't know what that there's got to be a good word for it, but like something that I could do is I could say, you know, make a big deal out of me being ex Goldman Sachs. I absolutely could. I mean, there are some people that do that, right? I didn't trade for them, and I feel like that even though I gained a lot of insight from them, that because I didn't trade for them, it wouldn't be very appropriate to say that. And even if I had traded for them, I wouldn't. I mean, sure, I'd be okay with people talking about that, but it wouldn't be the thing that I would be like highlighting as the reason to follow me, you know? But people in the industry definitely do that a lot, and it just really rubs me the wrong way. But you know, on the same hand, people also will, you know, you have one good year of returns, and then you just try and live off of that, right? That's what you say. That's the thing that proves that I'm really good at this. Okay, that doesn't tell you anything about that, but Yeah, I am also ex-Goldman, but one thing I leave out, I worked as a actually, I mean, working as a janitor for Goldman is still pretty good. Man, do I really care to? No, I'm gonna go into. Oh, okay. So this does tell us, by the way, that question that we were looking to answer, which is that the SIE is a prerequisite to the 6, 7, and 79. There's so many of these, and I don't even know what they all are. The one thing I will say about Goldman, and it's such a bizarre thing with the way that it's shaken out, is if you work for Goldman, it really means that they think that you are a trustworthy person. Like, it's really quite striking that they've had as many scandals as they have, because they concern themselves with that so much, right? I never sat and considered myself like, oh, the thing that's special about Seth is that he's a really trustworthy guy. You know, I just thought I was doing the things that, you know, you're supposed to do. But once I started working there and I saw the trust that they put in me in certain situations, and then especially some of the trust they put me in my current role, I really started to realize, like, wow, I actually am, like, a lot of people do stupid shit that Seth would just never even imagine doing, you know? And even if you're a janitor, man, even if you were just a janitor, they would not hire you as a janitor if there was even something even remotely sketchy about you. Right? Because I mean, the background checks that they do are like crazy. I would trust government sacks with money, but I wouldn't trust their advice. Well, it depends on, yeah, well, it depends on the advice, right? I think the thing that people always get on is what Gurr says. So there's you're always going to find these situations where Gurr will come out and say the fundamentals are a certain way, and then, like, almost as soon as they say that, and maybe there's an initial spike because that headline comes out and makes waves and everything, and then ever after that it just moves the other way. And so everybody has this conspiracy theory about how, you know, it's all a ruse, but that's really not what it is. What's going on there is that Gurr is the best fundamental research outfit out there, bar none, no question about it. It's just that fundamentals aren't the only thing involved in that we're talking about, especially when you're talking about like a time frame like a month, right? And so you will often just run into these coincidences where the fundamentals, when Gurr talks about it, just kind of conflicts with the other side of it, you know, which is the other flows and stuff. And Gurr is not necessarily focused on that. They probably should be some more, and they do have some analysts that talk about that stuff, but they're not as focused on it as I think they should be, you know? So that's what that's about. So but it's the same with all of them, is you have to kind of think of these things and silo them a little bit and say the fundamentals are different from the flows, which are different from current positioning and current market conditions. And you kind of have to track all of those different things separately and then understand the situations where they're going to interact and cause price movement, right? But you definitely go into this whole thing, which is like, okay, there's some other analysts that aren't a part of Gurr, but they're on the trading side, and they go and they'll post their insights to other people internally in the firm, and then those are regularly like leaked out to the public, and those are a lot more useful, right? So what does that suggest to you? It's not that it's Goldman is doing some sort of scam or anything like that. It's that information about the flows
and like pricing things is more valuable than what the current fundamentals are, at least in short time frames, right? So the ones that you really want to listen to are the flow analysts, and there are some guys at Goldman that do that they say, okay, this is like what the seasonality tends to be, and this is what we've been seeing through the flows that we have access to and so forth, and our estimate of like how much of it is. So like right now there is so much money coming into the market from retail traders. I'm like flabbergasted, like how can it still be so much? But it seems to me that we really haven't actually had a recession yet, that people still have too much money to blow because the retail traders just keep dumping it in and dumping it in. Right? Those are the guys that you know, again, orders move markets. So flows is going to be like the most useful information. This doesn't mean ignore the fundamentals, just keep track of them separately. Right? To that point though, Goldman was the one that this whole time was saying, things aren't so bad. We don't think that we're actually going to be going into a recession at the beginning of 2023. Well, guess which one was right? Because literally everybody else said there's going to be a recession. Goldman was the only one that refused to switch, and they were right. I'm just telling you. Those guys at GERD, they know their shit. In terms of like fundamental research, there is nobody better. It's just the problem is fundamental research isn't everything. That's all it is. That's all it is. Why would you call it Zeta Ball? Is that some sort of joke that I'm not getting? Going back, I'm like reading back here on the suggestions because I got distracted about what we're gonna name our thing. I do find it funny that you say that it needs to be a Greek letter followed by a solid object. When I think of a solid object, I think of the first thing that comes to my mind as a desk. Oh, here, I know. Here's what we should do. Oh no, I don't want the. Oh no, there. Yeah, there. I want this one. I don't want this one. I want this one. Ellis advisory thing. Okay. What? Give me a plan and suggestions for what to name my new investment advisor business. What's ChatGPT gonna say? Congratulations on starting your new investment advisor business. Here is a plan and some suggestions for what to name your new business. Define your business identity. Before you can name your business, you should have a clear idea of what your business stands for and what clients you want to serve. I don't know those things, to be honest. No. I think that we want to be doing commodities trading, and we're informed trading. And I want to. I guess it's going to be a demographic that has the money, but the kind of one of the issues is like what I think the advisor business should be is maybe not necessarily what the opportunities that come to me will be. You know what I mean? GS wasn't the only one. WFC, nobody gives a shit what Wells Fargo says. Bank of America, did they stick with it? I thought that they also said a recession. Maybe I'm wrong. Come on. All right. Brainstorm. Check for availability. Choose a name. Here are some suggestions. True North Wealth Advisors. Precision Wealth. I bet you Precision Wealth Advisors is taken.
I don't know if Precision is the right name. Yep, Precision Wealth Advisors is taken. I wonder if all of these are names that are taken. I bet you all of these are going to be names that are already out there. Just because Warren Buffett owns Wells Fargo doesn't mean that he cares what their investment research says. Yep, Wealthwise Financial. Blue Ocean Investments. There's no way that that's not taken. Are you kidding me? Yep. Blue Ocean Investment, or Sage Capital is definitely taken. Oh, they're in Canada, Sage Capital. Okay, Brighter Financial Futures was not actually taken. Did ChatGPT just actually give us a really good idea? What the fuck? Maybe I've underestimated this AI. I mean, I get results when I... Oh, no, wait. Brighter Financial Futures Incorporated, Pennsylvania Council of Financial. Okay, it is actually registered, so, but it's still like, that's close. I could work with that one. Precision we already checked, right? Yeah. There are so many Blue Sky, BlackRock. Where do we get those kinds of names? Why is it that those kinds of names evoke a certain kind of like seriousness in us? When I hear BlackRock, I think of like real serious business, you know? Oh, True North Wealth Advisors are serviced here in Salt Lake City. Oh, over in Murray, yeah. Can you use futures in your name if you don't have? That's a good question. But by the time we do this, we will have futures, right? Thrive Investment Group. Well, Thrive Capital is a thing. It's a real estate investment firm. Beacon Investments. Oh, that's right. BlackRock simply came from Blackstone, Larry's old employer. He just wanted to one-up the old... Yeah. But where did they get Blackstone from? That actually is like extra funny, right? Like because stone is kind of, you know, well, okay, stone is old. Rock is just like, okay, Black Rock, okay. That's what you're gonna call your firm? Prosperity Partners is taken too. See, that's kind of what I expected, is that whatever names that ChatGPT gave me would be names that were basically used. But it still did an okay job. I'd say it still did an okay job. So can you believe that entire move retraced? I'm really glad that I didn't try and hold it, right? Remember down at the bottom, I was like, okay, so I can see a liquidity hole here. But this might be a situation where it can kind of continue through. And yeah, when I started watching the volume down there, I didn't like it. It didn't seem to be congruent with the downside, with continued downside. So I took my profits, and I was a little bit nervous about it. Like, I didn't think I was going to get filled on my exit, but I got lucky and they gave it to me, and I'm super happy about it. Blackstone was an anagram of their names. Okay, so if I ask ChatGPT, name my investment advisor business based on anagrams of my name, Seth Ellis. Okay, let's see what anagrams we can get from Seth Ellis. The first suggestion that it gave was sell it investments. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, man. Oh, hellish invest. Okay. There are, you know what? I don't think I would have ever have thought of those as anagrams of my name. Elite wealths, that seems settles wealth. Silent shiver, what the you imagine silent shiver investment advisors? Gosh. Wait, what happens if I search for silent shiver? Oh my gosh, it is an Instagram. Oh, there's this person on Spotify. See as a Spotify name, that would be great. Silent shiver. Elite wealth sounds like you sell multi-level marketing courses on YouTube. Hellfire. Svelte, I forget what that stands for. Or what that means. That's a German word, right? No. A slender and elegant. Oh, that's right. There's a subreddit for pictures of svelte women. I don't know how I ever came across that, but that was a thing I came across once, and I was like, what the hell? Why would anybody make a subreddit just about this word? See, the ones that are actually cool are ones that I couldn't really use, like Hellfire Invest, like what? No, I think it was just I came across it on r/all. Silent shiver forecast recession quarter 2 2028. No, I'm telling you, it was on. Oh, I was looking up French women. Why would I do that? Why would I look up a specific national? I have never found that like specific nationalities look certain ways, except for maybe you were Russian. But even then, I don't think that having a subreddit for just that would make much sense. Oh, actually, you know what? I think I have this mixed up with something else. I think the one that I came up with, or the one that I ran across, was like cultish or something like that. Oh, now there was a subreddit for that, but it was banned. Hot. I tell you what. She sure is a good-looking reporter, and she's super smart too. I really wish that I spoke French on a business level so that I could watch more of their stuff, because it always looks like they're talking about some really good data, you know? Like that's the thing. So it's the thing that Americans hate about Europeans, but we also kind of admire, right? Is that Europeans always seem so serious and sophisticated. Like if I want a sophisticated financial news, I'm gonna go to oh my god, and I had it in like the tip of my tongue, and then I just lost the word. That's Financial Times. Sorry, if you want the sophisticated financial news, you get the Financial Times, right? Because you have to deal with all of these different companies, and it's very sophisticated and high-minded and all of this stuff, right? And if you're doing really well, like you're an investment advisor and you've got the big money coming in, right? You're getting investments from European royalty, right? High class and sophisticated, right? But like, that's also what Americans hate, because they're like, nah, you're not that sophisticated. You just were born with the money. and you actually kind of do stupid shit, right? You don't think so? I've always felt, I'm not saying that they actually are sophisticated per se, or that their reporting is better or worse than others. I'm just saying that that's kind of their brand, right? If you want the financial juice that is the sophisticated brand, it's the Financial Times. Compared to like CNBC, right? Bye. See how that works? Branding, it's an interesting thing. Silent shiver. Financial Times brand is to be stupid and misreport everything. You know, there was a time there where it felt like the Financial Times was getting a lot of really good scoops, and I was like, I wish I had a subscription to the Financial Times. But since then, it's kind of been meh. The one that keeps getting the scoops that I want to read is the Wall Street Journal. Right? But I feel like that the Wall Street Journal's brand is kind of more like, well, I mean, I guess you could consider it sophisticated, but it's kind of more of like an old money kind of brand, you know? The old money aesthetic is kind of coming back. Or so TikTok tells me. Oh, yeah, right. The Wirecard story was one of them. There was something else that was going on at the time that was a big deal, right? Like there was a really big market moving move sometime around that time that the Financial Times also had that was really frustrating that we couldn't read. But like what I've learned is that no matter what news source you get, that you're going to be frustrated by some other news source getting it, right? I'm just frustrated by Bloomberg Digital is just not that good. I think that the stories that I get on Bloomberg Digital aren't that good. I get better stories from Zero Hedge for free than I get from Bloomberg Digital. Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about Zero Hedge is that the stuff that they report on that it's like worth going over to Zero Hedge for, it's like they really shouldn't actually be posting it. And I don't understand how they haven't gotten in trouble yet, right? Because they're basically reposting content from like other investment analysts and so forth that you normally have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get. But I guess that people don't care to ever sue them because it seems like there would be some legal problems. Maybe has something to do with the way that they're structured that makes them harder to sue or something. Man, I got this bone spur on my elbow and it just still hurts. Constantly bothering me. Are there any order execution templates for Jigsaw DOM on their order execution templates? No, I don't think that you can do templates like that. I mean, what you want is the strategy manager, right? Can you create them here? Yeah, that's what you want is go to the Jigsaw control center or whatever they call it, and there's the one with an umbrella and money underneath of it, and that is the strategy manager. Then you can come in here and you can set things with stops and targets and so forth. Kind of hidden, isn't it? gives me suggestions to name my investment advisor business based. Try that. Try putting some of our branding into there. Oh, it's one of the suggestions it gives me as Vanguard investment advisors. See, I didn't think that the ChatGPT would be very good for naming things because it's gonna pull too much from existing ones. Like there's Apex Investment Advisors. Elite Integrity Investments. Just imagine actually trying to become Vanguard Investment Advisor and, you know, finding some sort of loophole where they didn't copyright something and having to deal with that. No, thank you. Oh my gosh, it remembers all of my conversations. I asked it the other day to make me a meme campaign against violence against women, and it refused to do it because it said that it was inappropriate to joke about that. But I didn't say to make jokes; I just said memes. So I don't know if that. Anyways, it refused. Series 65. That wouldn't. No, I don't think that would be allowed. I don't think that would be allowed. So if I search for Series 65 investment advisors, it's just going to get me the exam preps, right? Yeah. Uniform exam. Yeah, that is my sign that it's time to get going. Well, let's come into today's new title. Sorry, what was the news that pushed us down again? It was PMIs. It was PMIs, yes. PMIs spike rates above 3.9. All right, guys. Well, we can continue to have fun with some names here tomorrow. But I got to get going, so I will see you tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay